What's up, guys? It's Reed Young, aka Shuda here. We're going to be reviewing a 2-4 hand. So I think this is a pretty interesting situation to talk about when to not turn a hand into a bluff. And I think there are a few key principles that happen in this hand that kind of get us out of sticky situations if we are considering turning a hand into a bluff. So we raise pre-flop on, looks like, the hijack. The button calls and the big blind calls, and our reads are that the big blind is a fish, so that's good to know, and the button is a fairly competent regular. So given that we flop top pair, I would much prefer to continuation bet as a default play, a very, very high percentage of the time, because what's going to happen is the button is going to assume we're continuation betting, fairly wide for value and might play back some of the time. If he puts us on trying to value bet a hand like pocket eights, he could semi bluff and we make a lot of money that way. Or if he folds, we get money from the fish by, he could call with anything, check call, gutters, or, stuff like 10-9 suited, who knows. Also, it lets us get three streets a lot easier and a lot more often. So, and then, obviously we can get multi-way action going into the turn, but I would still expect King Queen to be ahead of both colors ranges, given, descriptions of the players and positions of both of them. So we decide to check, just, I would imagine, assuming that the button would react in an extremely aggressive way and capping our range around, pocket eights or something like that. So, maybe we can check call 3 times and have a pretty profitable situation. So we check, and I guess actually before we get to the flop play, I would say that without any reads of aggressive history, which the original poster mentions that they don't really have any history of betting when check to and that type of thing, that I think betting the flop is just far and away the best play here. So yeah, let's go through the rest of the hand, because that's kind of the meat of what we're going to address here. So instead of betting, we decide to check. The button does bet 20 into 38, which I think is somewhat relevant. The fish folds, unfortunate, and we decide to call to continue to underrepresent our hand. So, the idea being that we're going to induce some more action on later streets. The turn's a 3, which is a great card for the button to keep bluffing on, because 6-7 gets there, and it's pretty unlikely that we're going to have a hand like 5-3 or something like that that improves on the turn given positions. A hand like ace-2, even, we might just continuation bet most of the time. And a hand like 6-7, we probably don't just check call the flop, especially with a fish in, and we could barrel while having the button in the middle, potentially folding out his marginal hands if he's worried about the fish overcalling with, a pretty strong range. So I don't think any of our range is really that strong on the turn, and we decide to check call again. Again, as an extension of the same thought process that we're using on the flop, trying to induce some bluffs from air. On the river, we check, and the button bets half pot, which I think is pretty indicative of a value hand, but not necessarily so. I think if he is trying to fold out a hand like pocket eights, that he doesn't need to bet large, and that's probably where the faulty assumptions of the button's half pot size being for value. And now I understand that the average mid-stakes player, may not view sizing in that manner, and that he's not going to be thinking about the range. He's just going to be thinking like, oh, here's an ace, and I need to bet large to get this guy to fold a queen. But in reality, I think it's like if someone's playing a queen this way, it's with the idea of getting you to bluff 3 times. And so if they do have a queen, they have a pretty good bluff catcher in this situation, where the board has again changed to make your range weaker relative to your opponent's range. So if we did have a hand like 5-6, I think it's fine to fold, but when we're playing, a pretty exploitive flop strategy to underrepresent our hand and we get bet into again on a river where our opponent's going to continue bluffing with air, again the entire idea of checking the flop, that we should just be calling. Instead, the hero in this hand elects to check raise all in, attempting to fold out hands he says like ace jack or worse, and pretty much that means ace jack or just other random ace x hands that hit the river. Not really sure if he thinks he's going to get credit for a hand like ace 5 on the turn, or I mean on the river, excuse me. So I don't really see the merit of this looking like thin value and therefore getting a lot of credit. There aren't really any 2s in his range, again, unless he check called ace 2 on the flop. So it just doesn't really make any sense to me to bluff here, because you can call and probably make more money than shoving, even though you're going to be shoving to fold out air a decent percentage of the time, and potentially some made hands some percentage of the time. I just don't think it's high enough to warrant the raise. So let me know what you guys think about this video, and if you would tell a poker buddy about the channel, it would help it grow a lot, and I would appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys.